Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sound Bites Extra Bites Part 2. My name is Tom Morrissey. I'm the Artistic Director of Theater Now.
And I'm Colleen Harris. I'm the Managing Director.
Colleen, you want to tell us a little bit about what we're going to see tonight?
Sure. So we've been doing Sound Bites Festival for 7 years here at Theater Now New York. And tonight we're going to have a little bit of a different type of festival, a streaming festival. We have 6 shows for you this evening. First will be Letters from May, an exploration of what it takes to be an artist by Kara Katruzela and Christopher Bjarki. Then we'll have Pigeons Mate for Life, a boy meets girl meets pigeon romantic comedy by Joan Saltzman and Andrew Underberg, followed by Cookie Soiree, about 3 Girl Scouts and their quest for cookie badge glory by Justin Anthony Long and G. Enrique, based on a concept by Johnny Lee Jr. Then we'll see The Saboteur, a comedy whodunit based on a true FBI crime file by Laura Italiano, A Most Average Musical, the story of college freshmen preparing for their first big night out by Jonathan Keebler and Bob Kelly, based on a screenplay by Talia Berger, and Kalau, a bilingual trova in which 2 lovers explore cultural identity by Paloma Sierra and Pedro Emmanuel Franco Fraticelli. Tom, do you want to tell everybody a little bit more about the Sound Bites Festival and Theater Now?
I will. That sounds great. Certainly a lot that we're going to see tonight.
Absolutely.
We've been producing Sound Bites for 7 years now. Actually, it's really more like 8 or 9 years because we're not counting the pandemic time that we were down a little bit. But we did start in 2013 with Sound Bites, which is a festival of 10-minute musicals. Theater Now is a service organization for musical theater writers. We work with writers in many different ways. 2 of the main things that we do is we have 2 writers groups. One of them is for local New York City area writers, and the other is a national writers group where we have writers from all over the country. We also provide readings and workshops and developmental productions for our writers. So we're really all about bringing life to new musicals and working with those writers in that way. So it's really a very exciting thing. But I do think Sound Bites is probably one of the most visible productions that we do. Unfortunately, it's had to be canceled for the past 2 years because of the pandemic, but we have been keeping it in front of you, and hopefully you've been enjoying it through these streaming events that we've been doing. We did 2 streaming events a year ago. We did one last Friday, and then tonight is part 2. So without going into more detail with that, Colleen, I'm going to leave the evening to you for a while, and I'll join you back a little bit later, okay?
Great. Thanks so much, Tom.
Great. Thanks, Colleen.
So we want to thank all of you at home for helping us to support these writers. We're going to be showing you how to keep up with them and their work throughout the evening. And if you want to keep up with our work at Theater Now, you can follow us at Theater Now NY on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook at Theater Now NY. You can also go to our website, tnny.org, to find out how to get involved. You can follow along with our virtual program tonight at tnny.org/extra-bites to take a look at all the different creators whose work you'll be enjoying, as well as the casts. And if you're enjoying it, please make sure to let us know in the chat. We'll be asking any questions that you have of the writers of them after their presentations. And now I'd like to bring onto the stream our first writing team, Kara Katruzela and Christopher Bjarki from Letters from May. Hi, Kara. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Good to see you guys. Here. It's so nice to have you back. Letters from May premiered last November as part of our Soundbite streaming live event, and we just had to bring it back for another taste of the apple. For those who didn't get a chance to see the presentation in November, can you tell us a little bit about Letters from May and the inspiration behind it before we watch this 10-minute musical?
Yeah. So one of the starting points for me, at least, as we knew we were writing a 10-minute musical, and I wanted to try and come up with some type of story that I felt could only be told in 10 minutes. You know, if there was more than 10 minutes, it wouldn't work. If there was less than 10 minutes, it wouldn't work. And somehow I got hooked on the idea of a montage of a life. And that seemed, to me at least, to fit that bill, because if it was more than 10 minutes, it would be less of a montage. And if it was less than 10 minutes, it would be less of a life. So that's what I approached Kara with initially, and together we started crafting this fictional artist named May Dalton. And as you know, both Kara and I care a lot about creative issues and what it means to be an artist and all of these big questions. So in the life and career of May Dalton, as we started crafting it, we tried to I guess both include our own experiences as creative people, particularly in the early part of May Dalton's career, but also just pose some general thoughts we have about what it means to be a creative person and how that might change how that might or might not change as you go through life. So that's kind of was the starting point, at least.
Yeah, it's a great thing to kind of start us off tonight, because we're going to be talking to artists all night long, to give us 10 minutes to really think about what that means, what it means to be an artist. Now, this show is, it's played through. There's no traditional book scenes. Was that always the intention behind the style of the piece?
Yeah, it definitely was. And Chris wants me to say like he's an egomaniac, and so just wanted the music to be unstoppable for the entire time. But that's so not true. He's wonderful to work with, and it was a great collaboration. But I think we both settled on wanting both the music and lyrics to have that momentum and propulsion of really striving for something, striving for a creative dream, striving for progress in your own work. External achievements, whatever that may be, and stopping and starting songs just didn't seem like the way to do that, because also when you look at your own life, there are all these different chapters, but they all kind of blur together as you're looking back. So we wanted Letters from May to reflect that kind of intimacy and sort of rapidity of life just happening as you're living it. And people come into your life, people leave your life, and you'll see all of those sort of cameos come up in May Dalton's life in the entire performance.
And since this is about artists, I feel like I should ask you guys if you have any artistic heroes, any artists that you really look up to, and do you think that we can see them shining through in this musical?
I'll let you take that one, Chris.
Yeah. I guess this is somewhat related. Another one of the main motivating things at the start for me was an account I read of Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Schwartz working on Bernstein's Mass in like 1970 or something. And Stephen Schwartz was allegedly fiddling around on the piano. He was like 20 something. And Bernstein walks up and says something along the lines of like, man, I remember when I was your age and I could just sit down and write whatever I wanted. And it was so easy and free and fun. But now every time I sit down to put two notes together, there's this voice in the back of my head that stops me and says, is that really worthy of Leonard Bernstein? And I guess me hearing that story, it just felt like such an interesting thing to explore, and the suffocation of success and how someone might get there, and seeing those two people, both of whom I would consider artistic heroes in different ways, seeing them both there and one commenting on where the other one was in their career and thinking back to when they were there. And it really got the gears turning in my head and worked into the piece in a way that I certainly still recognize. So
it's great for us to be able to watch it through that lens. Thank you for sharing that story. Kara, how about you?
Yeah, I have the other musical theater, Stephen, is an influence. I actually invited him tonight to make a guest appearance. So Stephen Sondheim is we didn't know that he was going to be watching Soundbites, but he's here. But yeah, it's sort of a joke, but not really. He's considered one of the greatest lyricists and composers of all time for a good reason, and I admire just his breadth of themes and eras and style and form, and I think sort of challenging yourself with each new project is really a goal of mine, and also how he holds up a lens to the world we're living in, and specifically human behavior. And I think that the question of what it means to be a creative is one that has been on the forefront of a lot of people's minds, especially in this last year. So it's fun to look back on this project after a year of living in a space where we couldn't all create together in the same room. So I'm grateful for that opportunity.
Well, I'm grateful to have all this context now with which to take a look at Letters from May. So let's do just that. This is the full 10-minute musical, Letters from May by Kara Katruzela and Christopher Bjarke. Let's take a look.
If you'll direct your attention over to this wing, you'll find a new career retrospective of the world-renowned artist May Dalton, who died recently at the age of 82. This exhibition features her well-known portraits of presidents, celebrities, major figures.
Who's Pen?
Oh, Pen. That portrait was donated by the artist's estate, who found it among her belongings. It's her only unfinished work. No one knows who Pen is, and their expression is open to interpretation. May Dalton's career took on a windy path, but began when she left behind her old life and started a new one.
Dear Pen, well, I've arrived. I can barely believe it. All I see is a blank canvas. But of course I can't forget what I had to leave behind. Every night, every day, you were there in every way. Now here we are. Take a breath, look around. Is this what they call higher ground? I've come so far. I will not say I miss you. That clings like a curse. And you're worth far more than a simple line of verse. A bit of persistence will manage the distance and tie a thread right back to home. I started a new portrait today. It's of you, waving goodbye under the clouds. Makes me sad and happy all at once. I'll send it as soon as I'm done. Meanwhile, I saw a local square nearby. Gonna get settled in and try to get some work.
Hey, you can't set up here.
Oh, sorry.
Take your paints and scram.
That's rude.
I had too many of you artists around here. Yo, V, she's creeping on your turf.
Let me at her. Well, dear Pen, do you have any idea how cutthroat artists can be? It's so hard to break in here. I feel like I'm stuck on the outside. Beginning, a rough beginning. I stand outside a massive gate, a laughing lock that's bolted shut. But winning, I dream of winning, and every portrait is a key to try the gate and break my rut. Right now I'm still in second place. I hide the failure on my face. My eyes on the prize, and I feel...
What's wrong with you? Just slap some paint on the little shit's faces and move on to the next.
I'm sorry.
You're being so precious. Keep wasting time and I'll drop you in a second.
I'm trying, I swear I'm trying. I met my boss and he's a prick. The gig is lousy, but it pays.
May, the clown's out sick. You're up.
I'm dying, my dream is dying. Each hopeless day I drag my feet. It's getting hard to clear the haze. 1,000 no's for every yes. My future flows as I obsess, but even as I stumble, I still climb.
Is this your full-time job?
Oh no, I have a lucrative multi-year contract painting faces at children's birthday parties. Sometimes I even do balloon animals.
Oh, God. Talent like yours shouldn't be wasted. Here, take my card. I work with young artists.
Dear Pen. Good news, someone liked my work. Small, but it's something. This is the moment where at last I'm breaking free. Our plans are taking shape and soon will come to be. And soon will come to me.
Are you taking new commissions?
My daughter's stick figures are horrible. Do you teach?
I love a portrait of my parrot. Do you paint parrots?
How about a group
A
show?
lot of big names.
Could be an amazing opportunity. How about it?
Dear Pen. Gotta break now, it's only getting better. I'm moving up, no stopping me now. I'll make you proud with each and every letter. Moving up and soon I'll be on top of the world.
I have a client who's admired your work for years. We want to talk long-term contracts.
I'd love to hear some details.
I can't reveal the buyer yet, but let's just say you've heard of him. A lot of pressure riding on this portrait. We'll need your full commitment.
I'm listening. Dear Pen. Hey, how's it going? My work is flowing. You probably saw me on the news. Oh, I look good. Get mail for days now. Aren't you amazed how I made it happen in a blink?
Oh, sorry. Are you busy?
It's not important. Just make it quick.
They need you.
Who?
Everyone.
P.S. Still working on your portrait.
How'd you do it?
It's your secret.
Walk us through your routine.
When do you wake up?
How many hours do you work?
Do you even sleep?
How do you create?
How do you do it?
How do you do
What
it?
about inspiration?
Excuse me.
Your inspiration.
I'm inspired by my own thoughts, my surroundings, my beautiful home, my life, my beautiful life. To be perfectly honest, I'm kind of a solo traveler. I have a goal, I go for it.
So impressive.
Remarkable.
Solitary genius.
Doing it all by yourself.
Yeah, I did it all on my own.
Did you hear about her $1 million commission?
Her room full of awards.
I don't think she deserves it.
I read she started out painting faces at children's birthday parties.
Honestly, my hero.
I'm winning, they call this winning. With fawning fans and plastered grins. I try to run, I try to stall. I'm spinning, the world is spinning. Has this all been one big facade? There must be more beyond this wall. Day in, day out, it's all the same. I walk the walk and feel the shame. The pressure's at my back and I feel weak.
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you?
I'm not sure what you want me to do.
You're being so precious. Keep wasting time and I'll drop you in a second. I can't afford to fall behind because of your incompetence.
I'll fix it right away.
Rise and shine, I'm on top of the world. So why do I feel pushed out of sight?
Don't read the review.
He can't see you today.
Sophomore slump.
They voided your contract.
What a hack.
Can't you see I'm on top of the world? But suddenly I'm drowning in doubt.
The museum deadline was a week ago.
2 months ago.
6 months ago.
3 years ago.
I tried to stop it all, but now it's set in stone. And though I'll take the blame is not my own. I'm facing this alone.
After several major commissions, May Dalton disappeared from the public eye. No one really knows why, but her work remains.
Dear Pen, I know a lot has changed. Things haven't exactly worked out as we imagined.
I wonder who Penn was.
Pen?
You're probably surprised to hear from me, especially since I stopped writing so long ago.
The one in the portrait.
That expression. They look so sad.
I'm not feeling very well, but I wanted to let you know I started back up on the painting. The one of you waving goodbye on our last day.
It's open to interpretation, that's what she said.
I hope to finish it soon.
Kind of reminds me of someone I used to. Oh, never mind.
Meanwhile, I'll try to remember how things used to be. Every night, every day, you were there in every way. Now here we are. Take a breath, look around. Is this what they call higher ground? I've come so far. I will not say I miss you. That clings like a curse. And you're worth far more than a simple line of verse. You kept your persistence. You managed the distance and tied a thread right back to home. You tied a thread right back to home.
Shall we move on to the next room?
Love
I'll give you a round of applause. I'm sure everybody at home is doing the same. We had so many comments on the chat about Susanna's voice being gorgeous and the music being gorgeous. Go Christopher and Kara. You've got fans out there. Thank you so much, everybody at home, for that support. There's so many moments when I get goosebumps when I watch your show. So thank you for letting us put it forward again this spring. I was wondering if there's any other things that you're working on now that you have this 10-minute piece, if you guys are continuing to work together.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone needed a little pandemic break, but we're both sort of getting back to new projects, and we're working on a song cycle that is going to be set during a marathon. So it's sort of in the minds of all the runners who are engaged in this 26-mile odyssey. And it's a bit of a personal backstory. Chris and I are both runners, and I thought this would be something great for people to listen to as they get into fall training and also experience outside of a stage. So, the pandemic has created a lot of new creative restraints, but also new ideas. So that's something that we've been working on. Got a couple songs in the can, and excited to see where it goes.
Well, if everybody wants to keep up with that, make sure you're following them. Oh, it just went away. There we go. Following them at their social media down below so that you don't miss out on what's going on with the Marathon musical. But you mentioned that this will be not on the stage, the Marathon project. What are you guys looking forward to now that a lot of the restrictions for live performance are being lifted? Are you looking forward to going back into live performance?
Yeah, I mean, I'm dying to get into a rehearsal room. I mean, even a performance would be beyond amazing. But even just getting into a space where, I saw Chris for the first time in a year just last week, and getting back to that energy and throwing ideas around and working on songs, that's where things really start to happen and start to thrive. So I'd love to get the gang back together again. And I hope Chris feels the same way.
Absolutely.
So yeah, getting back to all those great rehearsal spaces in Midtown, that is my dream. So I think it'll happen sooner rather than later.
You've got quite a gang to get back together. I want to give a shout out to your family who are involved in that last video, your Aunt Gina and your brother Chris, who were both in the cast. Gina, I don't know how many wigs and hats she owns.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea either. She really, really went for it. And yeah, the ensemble, they just brought to life these characters, even beyond what we had sort of imagined for them, creating backstories and personalities for each of them. And I just can imagine the possibilities once we actually get on stage and see them, in scenes and with props and running around. And I feel like the energy will really be communicated on that stage in next spring.
Next spring. I think a director is going to feel so inspired for stage movement by this piece. It's that momentum that you talked about happening is so visceral when you're even just hearing the music. It's right there. So I think it's going to be really exciting to see.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Thanks for giving us this opportunity. It's great to see it again and to keep musical theater alive in 2020 and 2021.
It was great to watch the show again, and great to talk to you two again. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks you so Colleen. Much. It's good to be here.
So our next show was also premiered last November, and it is called Pigeons Mate for Life. In it, girl with pigeon meets boy with pigeon, and the pigeons mate for life, but with the boy and the girl, it's a little more complicated. We have one of the writers of Pigeons Mate for Life here with us, Andrew Underberg. I'd like to welcome him to the stream.
Hello, Colleen.
Hi, Joan's here too. Hi, Joan.
Hi, Colleen.
I wasn't sure we had you.
I'm here.
Well, it's great to see both of you. Thank you so much for coming and chatting with us again and for letting us share your video once again. This song has been stuck in my head ever since November. And so it's good to get a little booster shot of the song now so that it can be stuck in my head for the next 6 months as well. and hopefully for everybody else watching. You had such a great response after this presentation. I remember people in the chat going nuts over it. How has presenting your work to the public changed your relationship to it?
I think for me, it's made me more excited to see it live on a stage with full choreography, which I think will play a large role in the full experience of the show. And we get a taste of that in this video, as you'll see. But hopefully there will be much more of that in the full-length version.
How about you, Joan?
I feel the same way. I can't wait until May 23rd of 2022.
Yes. When everyone at home sees this video, you'll see Evan Coles in the video. I won't spoil anything, but you'll want to see more of Evan Coles after seeing this first song. This particular song is so catchy. Andrew, can you tell me about who some of your influential composers might be?
Yeah, I say my main sort of genres of music that I like as a fan, at least, would be late 90s boy bands and early 2000s
Love
R&B.
that.
So I like, in terms of songwriters, Max Martin, Neo, and then on the musical theater side, Alan Menken, and who else comes to mind? Bobby Lopez. And yeah, well, in terms of thinking about music, even for musical theater, I do approach it a little bit from a pop angle, in hoping that there'll be some memorable singable phrase that will sort of stick with people. That's the goal.
Some hooks. Yeah. And you write music for a children's show, right?
Yes, I write music for Barbie, Jojo Siwa, which is she's Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And we're going to be working on a Disney show, Disney animated show this summer.
So another chance to write very catchy music. Right. Music so catchy that parents might be like, could you write a little less catchy? But kids love that. They love it so much. And I'm sure that that it sounds like your work is being recognized in that forum. Joan, can you tell me where the idea for this particular show came from?
Sure. I was talking with a friend who was talking about her friend, so it's kind of secondhand, about a man and a woman that met at a Pigeon fanciers meeting. And the result is very different. And I'm not going to spoil the end of Pigeons Mate for Life, but the result of that meeting was very different from how things work out for Jane and Max in Pigeons Mate for Life.
And what about your influences? What might we notice among the lyrics here?
For me, it's Oscar Hammerstein. And it's certainly lyrics that are sweet, smart, simple, often deal with the natural world. And our natural world here is pigeons. But Hammerstein is clearly my main influence.
So as we watch this opening number from Pigeons Mate for Life, we'll try and see if we can pick out some Hammersteinian influence and some Bobby Lopez influence, some Neo influence as we take a look. And we'll be chatting again with Joan and Andrew right after this presentation. So if you have any comments or questions for them, put them right in the chat. Now let's take a look at the opening number from Pigeons Mate for Life by Joan Saltzman and Andrew Underberg.
Never had much luck with love, no, not a smidgen. So I gave up on men and got a pigeon. Cuckoo, coo, cuckoo, coo. Once fell in love with a writer who was real bright, thought he could be the next Stephen King. Looked like Brad Pitt, I knew he was just right, although he couldn't afford a ring. When he borrowed my card for something sublime, and I just assumed it was a sparkly diamond. Turned out to be a one-way flight on Qantas. He flew to the outback and never came back. Santino doesn't steal, Santino doesn't lie, Santino doesn't move to Melbourne and leave me high. flies back home.
Cuckoo, coo, cuckoo, coo.
Then I met a partner in a big law firm, had a condo, and howdy do. He proved he was in it for the long term. We got married at the Philly Zoo. Honeymoon in Rio, loved to travel. Couldn't imagine we'd ever unravel. Till I caught him sexting with a guy named Zach. I kicked him out, and he never came back. Santino doesn't cheat. Santino doesn't lie. Santino doesn't swipe through Grindr with a wandering eye. And even though he flaps around with my neighbor's parakeet Jerome, Santino always flies back home. For nearly 3 years it's been me and Santino. Is that all there is? Me and a pigeon. Santino doesn't cheat. Santino doesn't lie. Santino doesn't offer words of comfort when I cry. Santino couldn't spoon with me on a romantic trip to Rome. But Santino always flies back home.
Cuckoo, coo, cuckoo, coo, coo, coo.
Oh, I love it so much.
Oh, thank you, Colleen.
Thank
And
you.
so does our chat. Justin Anthony Long says, love this song. Everybody's saying so fun. We've got some pigeons emojis happening over there in the chat. I really do sing this song in the shower. If my boyfriend were here, he would probably attest to that for me. But I even do like the same gestures she does in the video. It's such a perfect song, a perfect video. And it is up on our YouTube. If people want to revisit, you can find it on our YouTube channel, and you can subscribe to this very YouTube channel and make sure that you don't miss any future presentations that we put out there for everybody. I wanted to just ask Joan and Andrew the same thing that I asked Kara and Chris, which is that with live performances returning, what are you looking forward to? Do you have anything that you're going to go see?
I have actually a ticket to something, which is very exciting to me. It's Andrew Guan, Adam Guan is having a cabaret at 54 Below in August. I'm sure I'll be going to something before that, but I have a ticket for that.
That's going to be really exciting. All of the things that are theater community based are just going to be thrilling in the next few months. How about you, Andrew?
No tickets yet. I'm most excited for once karaoke parlors open up. I'll be looking forward to seeing my wife's performance of Good Morning Baltimore.
Oh, that's a great karaoke song.
Yeah.
You can point at everybody and say who they are. Oh, that's so perfect. And what are you guys working on right now?
We're working on a musical called Better Late, a musical comedy about age discrimination. It's about a woman who decides to embark on a career after 45 years of sort of letting it go while she raises her children and grandchildren.
And I saw a fun fact in the chat, which is that the two of you are 4 decades apart. So I'm assuming in this particular case, Joan, you are bringing a little more intimate knowledge of the character.
In a way, but I think that, there are plenty of characters in it who are a lot younger. So we've got like a mix of people. We've even got 2 characters who are in their mid-30s, a romantic couple, one of whom is in her mid-30s and her partner is in his mid-20s. So we've got like a really interesting mix of people who are having interesting questions about differences in age. So yeah.
Something for everyone.
Yes.
It was so great to catch up with the two of you. I really appreciate you rejoining us this spring, and I cannot wait to see this piece live next May. And I can't wait to see Evan Coles bring that pigeon to life on stage. I mean, just with the top half of his body, there was so much personality there already. I can't imagine how great it's going to be live.
Thanks so much, Colleen.
Thank you so much. And if you guys at home want to keep, bye guys. If you guys watching want to keep up with Pigeons Mate for Life and you want to make sure that you don't miss that live performance, make sure that you are following us at Theater Now NY. And if you want to go to our mailing list at tny.org, you can join our mailing list there and make sure that you don't miss any of the future performances of Pigeons Mate for Life. While we were striving over the past year to continue supporting writers like Joan and Andrew and Kara and Chris and bringing musical theater to all of our wonderful audiences online, we also took some time to consider where Theater Now is going next. And I want to talk about that now with our board president, Camille Ann White. Hi, Camille.
Hey, Colleen. Great to see you. I'm enjoying the show so much so far.
I'm so glad. I am too. I'm having a great time. I mean, what better thing to do on a Friday night?
Yeah, and it's always great to hear from Andrew and Joan.
So I was hoping that we could share with our audience a little bit about our mission and about what we're planning to do after this long pause during which we've been able to really think about the future of Theater Now.
Certainly. So, as Tom mentioned at the beginning of the show, our mission is really just centered around supporting emerging writers of musical theater. And, this has really given us an opportunity to look more expansively. I know that he mentioned at the beginning of the show, we've expanded our writers lab. So it's broader than just the New York base. We now have a national writers lab. And that's been really exciting, looking at increasing opportunities outside of the New York area, looking at catching writers at different stages. And so one of the other ways we're working on expanding is we're looking to launch our pilot of a high school writers lab. And, so that'll be an exciting way to really start working with not just the writers who might be new to the form of musical theater, but even, young writers who this might be their first exposure to taking a writing lab and learning the technique and the art form. We're working on some great ideas for community building and really continuing to be engaged with our audiences. That's something that's been wonderful in work that we've been able to do and that you have been spearheading throughout this pandemic. So that's something looking forward to being in person, in addition to the live sound bites, of course, returning to events that we've been working on, like some of our cabaret ideas, and just finding other opportunities to keep our finger on the pulse of what's next and what's happening in musical theater.
Yeah, and we hope that everybody who's watching will want to get involved with us, especially with some of these new projects that we have coming up, like the high school program. Is there best ways for people to become involved with Theater Now?
Certainly. So there are a lot of different ways that you can be involved in supporting Theater Now. And by supporting Theater Now, really what you're supporting is you're supporting all of our writing teams. And, I'll just being very candid, probably one of the most impactful ways is in financial donations. We are a very small organization. And so every dollar that is contributed to the cause, it gets used in an exponential fashion. We do acknowledge that this is a hard time for many people right now. It's hard on organizations, on small businesses, on lots of people, and including a lot of our artists. And so if you're not able to donate, there are lots of other ways that you can contribute. If you are able to donate, you can follow the links below to make a donation. You can also become a member, and that's a wonderful way to make a commitment to work with the organization. You can also get some discounted tickets to sound bites and other live events. And our memberships start as low as $25, but honestly, every little bit helps. And then for non-financial ways, and I think these are really mutually beneficial for keeping connected with the organization, we have a mailing list. You can sign up on the mailing list at our website, and that will keep you in the know for all of our live events, our programming. We have a lot of opportunities for writers. So maybe you have writers in your life who are interested in musical theater or who are moving from becoming an audience member to, wanting to compose for musicals. Let them know about our opportunities. Let them know when our applications open up for the Writers Lab, whether it's the New York-based lab or the national lab. That's a great way to really share our work so that we can help and connect with even more artists out there and kind of share those opportunities with them. We also have live readings, and we've been doing some virtual readings during the pandemic. I think it's been a wonderful opportunity for our artists, but it's also a great opportunity as an audience member. You get to experience a work that is really in development. You get to provide some feedback to the writing team about your experience, what really touched you, favorite moments or characters. And so it's a contributive process. And I think there are also really great ways to remain connected and inspired beyond, being an audience member, but just as a person, to see that kind of creativity being generated, even in a really dark, hard time.
Yes, and our next reading is in June. I think it's June 20th, Animal Farm, the musical.
Yes,
and
very
by one of our
excited.
lab members, Steve Wallace. I'm so excited too. And that one is going to be virtual.
Yes, and that's the writing team. If you tuned in last week and you saw Humpty's Hatching Day, which is such a fun musical, that's a really great writing team, and Steve and Kenny are wonderful. So I'm very excited to check that out.
Absolutely. And if you sign up for our mailing list, you'll be sure to get an invitation to check that out, and then you'll be able to give your feedback. Camille, would you mind sticking around for a little while and chatting with our next team with me?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great.
I love chatting with them.
I mean, you're fun to talk to, so let's keep you on here. One of the initiatives that we didn't actually speak about yet that happened in the past year is that we published our first book, which is the 10-minute musical and anthology from the Soundbites Festival. And it has 25 of our past festival participants in it, including the next team that's about to come on with us. And those same musicals are also now licensable through our partnership with Music Theater International. We're really, really proud to have given so many writers their first shot at being published and being licensed. We'd like to now welcome to the stream one of the creators of one of the shows that is in the book and now licensable through MTI, Justin Anthony Long, composer G. Enrique, along with their choreographer, if he's here, Jelani Remy. Yes.
Hey.
I'm here.
Yay.
I'm here. I'm here.
I heard you're in a dressing room.
Well, yes, I am, because the show must go on.
The show must go on.
Booked and blessed.
Hey, team. It's good to see you all.
Hey, Jelani.
Hey. G, I see you had nothing to wear. G, you had nothing to wear.
I had absolutely not a thing. I have been stressing out this whole time about whether or not I should put on my black dress because I'm wearing black gloves.
They're always
amazing. You look amazing.
Thank you. I know.
She's always best dressed.
G just pulled something out last minute.
Exactly.
Very last minute. I was like, am I going to wear this? Do I want to wear this?
Oh.
Wow.
Sitting on your shelf.
Now I kind of do want you to wear.
Do you see why this team just works? Do you see why this team just works?
We're going to come back from the song and I'm going to be wearing something completely different. You wait.
I look forward to a Sarah Jessica Parker moment. So you guys, you're all part of the family now with Soundbites. You were in Soundbites the second year in 2014. So you've been with us as part of the family for a long time. I'm wondering, just as family, I want to check in with you, see how you're doing. What has the past year been like for you as writers and as performers?
How much time do you have?
Time is not real.
Time is real because I actually have a curtain. So that's just it. This time has been so interesting, but it's been so great to have these moments of creation and these moments of sort of our artist community, rising through everything that's been fighting against us. We found a way to express ourselves and to be seen and heard and shown and showcased. And tonight's no exception. We get to revisit our 10-minute musical that we did together, Cookie Soiree, and then I get to do my own solo cabaret, socially distanced. So it's moments that we've had. But I want to give my accolades to our fearless leader Justin, who has been giving his friends and colleagues moments of exposure and opportunity is the word to sort of do our thing. And so we're really fortunate that our piece that we collaborated with gets to live on. And Justin, you have such a vision. So it's so nice to always touch
really
that.
Nice. That's so nice of you to say, Jelani, but also thank you to you for your incredible choreography, artistry, and everything. And G, it's a musical. So the music is the most important part. Without you, it would just be girls on a stage talking about cookies, and I don't know how interesting.
I would still see that.
I would still want to
if the free cookies are still involved, I'll go.
I was about to say that.
Maybe
it's fine.
but you know, thanks for saying that, Jelani. But it's such a group collaboration, and everybody contributes so much. Like it just wouldn't work without anyone in here. So,
well, as a writer, what was the past year like for you, Justin?
Sure. Well, maybe like many, I had like an ebb and flow of creativity, and like severe, like going into my cave and like nobody talked to me because it's a pandemic and yikes, like it's scary. And, you know, there's a lot of fear in the beginning of that. And then also just moments of such inspiration and creativity. The past year and a half or so, luckily I've still been able to like virtually do like pitches for I've been working on a lot of like TV scripts, things like that, and pitching like TV animation and comedy and comedy live series. So it's been good. Like for I feel like as a writer, like it gave me time. Like I also do performance, and not being able to be on a stage really gave me like the clarity and time to be like, to really just commit more to my writing, because I just had the mental space for it, and you know, and just realize how important it is for me.
And G, you're another writer and performer, and I encourage everybody out there watching to follow G on social media, because they are the best piano bar performer. I mean, go see them in the city. Go see them.
This whole thing goes.
G, what was the last year like for you?
I mean, I feel like it probably was a lot like a lot of people. It was difficult, but I feel like I was able to find, like Justin was talking about, sort of an ebb and flow kind of a feeling when it came to creativity. I relate to that quite a bit. For a lot of the pandemic, I wasn't really doing very much, but then I got to a point where I was like, let me do a little writing here, or try this out, or do that, and it was good, and I was able to do, you know, little things here and there, little projects that I am looking forward to continuing to work on. And now that we're coming out of it, I'm more excited than I was last year about going into it. So
100%. Did you guys have any?
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think I might have been one of those people who, even though we did have, you know, all that time, it was just, for me, it was mentally a little bit difficult to get to a place of like, oh, I'm going to do this to create art. But when it did happen, it was a wonderful little break from the world.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
No, please continue.
Oh, I was just going to say, and I had been doing virtual piano bar the whole time. So at least I had that outlet as well, which was really wonderful.
The hard thing was for all of us performers, you know, our rugs were ripped right out from under us, and with no, you know, sort of notification and no sort of plan of action. So it was a weird space to be in. So it was hard to stay motivated and want to perform without, you know, without us having hope. How can we spread hope? You know, and honestly, it took like a moment of, you know, on the couch eating bonbons, you know what I mean? But then also I started teaching and realized that the next generation of young artists, they wanted to learn, you know, and so I started teaching, which led to feeling a different sense of purpose, which led to me then realizing my old plan wasn't going to work. So I started creating my own cabaret shows. I started, you know, working on, you know, writing my own story, doing my own sort of background research to sort of refuel myself. So I rose like the phoenix, and, but it took a moment, though. It definitely took a moment.
Yeah,
you know, that's really beautiful to hear, because as an audience member, I know that, you know, it's been a really hard year, and you know, I personally, and also, you know, for others, and I really felt so moved by the artists in my life, and also the Theater Now artists who were still sharing, and we're getting to a place of creativity, even if that was after months of, you know, kind of ruminating and just being a human being in a really hard time. And that just was really, I feel like I drew on that when I was having dark times.
Definitely.
My bonbons tend to be cheese puffs, but I feel you very much, Jelani.
I use the word bonbon loosely. It was many a snack. Okay?
I mean, candidly, I say cheese puffs to mean like a
lot of Girl Scout cookies.
I would with you there. Yeah, but that energy though, I think that was something I even just talking now even virtually, I think that energy was really powerful for me as an audience member for getting through something where we are really separate. So I'm wondering if, maybe for all of any of our viewers here who haven't experienced the sound bites live, I have, and I remember the energy and that feeling of being in the room, but what is it like on the other side for you guys as the artists and the creators having a live sound bites? Like, what does that energy or that feel like, that experience? If you can remember beyond last year.
I can. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. The energy in that room with, artists supporting artists. It was like an episode of Oprah that never stopped.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, it was a gift after gift after gift of sharing, but not only sharing, but you had to fit so much in just 10 minutes. And to see what people have come up with and the different types of shows, and then to be excited for my own show, it was literally like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. and everyone was so excited to see the work. And then the work was just tremendous. So it's a yes after yes after yes.
It was a little nerve-wracking too, like leading up to it, because you're like, well, I think this is funny. And then people finally see it and they tell you, right? So, that kind of energy and just like putting it up in front of people for the first time is like it feels super vulnerable, but also so incredible, because then when they do respond, it's like, oh, thank God. Gee, what about you?
Oh, I mean, I concur with both of you. I mean, it was just, nothing beats the experience of putting on a show to begin with. And so then when you have so many shows with so many creators and everyone is just so excited and scared and ready, and it's just that I love that energy. It's the same energy that I love about New York City itself, vibrant and always hustling and bustling. And it was like having your own Manhattan in a small backstage space. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
it's addictive. Everything I could have asked for.
I'm laughing because, Justin, you raised such a great point of like us hearing these jokes, in rehearsals and seeing these bits in rehearsal. So then when we're in the audience, we're looking around saying,
and we think that we are very funny. We do think we're very funny people. So
the audience decides. So
yeah, it's
not funny.
I will speak for the audience. Say, Cookie Soiree is really funny.
We're going to try and now share that sort of experience by presenting what is a clip of that live performance from Cookie Soiree in 2014. So we're so excited to be able to present that. We would love for anybody in the chat, if you have any questions. Justin and G will be back after the clip. Jelani, I know you will probably be out on stage. So break legs. And Camille, thank you so much for being with us tonight. We always love to have you as part of every event that we possibly can.
Thank you so much. I really enjoy this. And I feel like I want to ask every writing team to let me be an honorary member, just for, I'm really good at encouragement. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the clip. Justin and G, so great catching up with you. Jelani, break a leg. And Colleen, I'll check you out after the show.
Great. So now let's take a look at the opening number from Cookie Soiree in a live performance from 2014. Can I say it's live 2014? Anyway, here's Cookie Soiree by Justin Anthony Long and G. Enrique, based on a concept by Johnny Lee Jr.
Roll call. Gretel, here. Sandy, here. You're late, and Raquel, that's me. And now our cookie jamboree. People of Walmart, take a look in your shopping cart and see what you are lacking. It looks like you've all been slacking. Here comes your lucky day. So you can shout hip hip hooray. Something for your sweet tooth. We've got what you need right in our booth. And that's the truth. Cookies, cookies for sale. If you eat too many, you'll look like a whale. Come get your Girl Scout cookies today. Did you hear the news? There's a cookie soiree. Girls, tell everybody what our fabulous selection. Savannah smiles and piles that last even longer than an hour. Some moments you know where they don't like the Edgar Allan Poe. Thanks a lot, Priscilla. If you eat too many, you'll get shot. Bang, 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 bang. Sandy, stick to the script. I have so many cool marketing ideas. Get our cookie badges. We need to sell over $200 worth of cookies by 3. And it's already 2:15. Stick to the script. Straight faces, girls. We're almost out.
How fun! that was your first collaboration together, the two of you, yeah?
It
And
sure
since then,
was.
you did a subsequent sound bites a couple of years after.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We presented a number from a show we were trying to do forever. Basically, it's an adapt of a documentary that unfortunately we were never able to procure the rights to. So we are no longer working on that now.
But you'll always have the cookies. In fact, someone in the chat says, now I want cookies. I think that definitely this should be used by Girl Scouts to help sell some of their merchandise.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Yes. Get us some of that Girl Scout money.
And if anybody's interested in producing this show in their neck of the woods, you can get the rights to it through our partnership with MTI at MTI shows /10-minute-musicals, where 25 of the shows from Soundbites Past are available to be licensed and performed either virtually or live all over the country and all over the world. And if you want to just read along with it, you can also get the book, which is at tnny.org/anthology-book. And we're so excited to have Cookie Soiree as part of that. Did you guys have any idea 7 years ago this show would still be with you?
I don't think so. I mean, it was so fun. I think you wrote in the chat, but it was our first collaboration. G and I were working together at a performing arts center in Morristown, New Jersey. And we were like, hey, should we do this thing? And we just wrote it and it was so much fun. We did not know, and we're so grateful and thankful that Theater Now, published. I think. Gee, is it your first published piece?
It is not, but it is my first licensable through MTI piece, and I love that.
Same, and it is my first published one. So huge thank you to Theater Now, and it's so exciting that people can actually do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really thrilling. I've been posing this to everybody all night. I'm going to pose it a little bit differently to you. I'm wondering, now that theater is opening up again after it's had this long pause, what you are hoping for the future of the theater industry.
Oh,
gee,
I'll take it, Justin. I'm above you. I got here, Justin. Here you go.
So let me just get those.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Seamless.
Very good. It was seamless on the safe side and everything. I would say that I'm super excited for the new possibilities in the world of theater and in performing arts in general and the arts in general. Coming out of the pandemic, it seems that people are really focused on changing the way that people get involved in theater in terms of like diversity and inclusion and that sort of stuff. But I'm really excited about the idea that we're really, people are demanding an awareness of not just having, works by people from marginalized communities to put at the forefront and to hear those voices, but to also have folks from marginalized communities not just having a seat at the table, but being at the head of the table. And I think that people are really ready for that. And I think it's a really exciting prospect to rebuild this community in a new way. I think that is something that I'm really excited about moving forward and theater becoming a thing again. Because it seems to me that people are really aware of it. They are conscious and consciously making decisions that are going to change what theater is and who's in charge and the stories that get told. And it's just very exciting to me also as a teacher that like students will be able to see theater happening after this, and it's going to be a new experience for them. It's going to be a different experience for them. And I'm just so excited for that. I'm so excited for just this brave new world of theater that we can create together. And I also feel like there's a bit of people, I think, during the pandemic might have realized more than before how important theater is and how important the arts are and how important artists are. So I mean, I'm just very excited for for what the future holds in this industry.
It reminds me of a Bertolt Brecht quote that I always give to my students when we're studying epic theater, where he said, art is not a mirror to hold up to society, but a hammer with which to shape it. And I feel like we're starting to get that fire in our bellies again in that way. What do you think, Justin?
G put it so beautifully. I guess the one thing I would add is that I hope we continue to move towards like real transparency, with and accountability for our producers, for our unions, and get to a place where we stop approving of poor behavior in the name of their genius. Because I believe it's okay to be, I believe it's, and I want to live in a world where people believe it's possible to be a good person and nice and still be good at what you do. So yeah, I guess accountability and transparency.
Yes. Are you guys working on anything right now?
Well, together we've been like kicking around some ideas for a full length. We haven't landed on any yet, but maybe individually. G, have you been working on stuff, or?
I've been working on some like music, some of my own music stuff. It's not theater related, but I mean I've been working on a little bit of that. But I am really excited to continue the conversation with Justin, because I love working with Justin so very much, and I'm really excited to get working on something again.
Well, we just put the social medias back down underneath you. We hope that everybody at home will follow all of the names on here, the two of you, as well as Jelani, who was here moments ago, and Johnny Lee Jr., who is one of your collaborators as well. And again, I encourage everybody to go see G next time they can, because they are just amazing at the keys, amazing at the piano bar, and maybe if you're lucky, you could hear one of those new original tunes.
Maybe.
You never know. Thank you both so much for being with us tonight. We really appreciate it, and we're glad that you're part of the Theater Now family.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. Have a good night. We'll see you in the chat. From 2014 to now, our newest member of the Soundbites family, I'd like to bring here right now Laura Italiano, who is the book writer / lyricist / composer of The Saboteur, which has been chosen for Soundbites 7.0 and will premiere live next spring. It's a hilarious whodunit, wait, was it actually ever done at all, set in Brooklyn and based on a true FBI crime file. And we're excited. We're going to be premiering a song from it here tonight. So hi, Laura. It's so good to see you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Happy to be.
Oh, you're cutting in and out a little bit, Laura.
Oh no.
Oh no, Isaiah. Let me see. I'm going to try and ask you a couple questions, and we'll see if we can hear you. And if not, we'll play your presentation, and maybe you could switch to a phone or something instead. I want to make sure everybody can hear what you have to say. We're really excited that you're here with us, though. And so let me just ask you first, what inspired you to write this musical?
Well, this, can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
Oh, good. What inspired me? Well, you know, this show is based on an actual FBI case file that I happened to get my hands on. And that's what prompted it. It's a file from 1941, was filed just 6 months before Pearl Harbor, based on a very puzzling case. There was some high-tech equipment that had been destroyed at a Brooklyn munitions factory. And at first, everybody figures that Nazi spies did the damage. So The Saboteur is the story about the investigation into who really infiltrated the factory and who did the sabotage.
It's really, really funny. It's a cast of 5 playing a cast of thousands. It's so fast paced and really, really wonderful. How did you first get into writing musical theater? How did you get this style?
Well, I've been a newspaper reporter for most of my life, and me and my colleagues used to make up silly songs when there was nothing else to do in the press room at Manhattan Criminal Court. Some of those songs ended up inspiring my first show, which was called Perp, the Criminal Musical, and that has lots of singing and dancing crooks and creeps inspired by real crooks and creeps, mostly lawyers. So the Saboteur is more crime.
So as somebody so you were sort of making up songs with your colleagues, and then you became a lyricist / composer. What is your process? You've come to it in such an interesting way.
Well, I when we're kids and we make up songs in our heads, you just don't stop, I guess. You just keep doing it. And I've been doing it for a long time. And when I write, I shuttle back and forth between writing the lyrics and the music. I'll start with an important phrase, a lyrical phrase, and that'll suggest a rhythm or a feel, a melody. And then the melody will take on a life of its own and need more words to fill it in. And so it inches along. I work with a keyboard and in pencil on staff, which I think is pretty unusual these days. And then my arranger turns it, the scribbles into actual sheet music. Thank goodness. And adds the piano arrangement. Shout out to Adam Wiggins, who's just fantastic to work with. So one of these, I think maybe this summer, I'm going to try to learn notation software, but I really do like working in pencil.
Some novelists still like to write out longhand as well. Everybody has a different process. We're about to see a song from the show, and it's so fun. It's really, really fun. There's normally 5 people in the cast, but this song only has 2. But you have picked a legendary pair of actresses to be in this particular clip. I mean, cabaret fans are going to rejoice, and they both have theater resumes a mile long. Clea Blackhurst and Sierra Rain are in this clip. Before we see this song, can you set up the context of it? What's going on in the plot?
Sure. So the song is called Gino Maraschino. It's the 3rd song of the show. So the sabotage investigation is in full swing. The agent is questioning the neighbors of this munitions factory to see if they have witnessed anything. And in the real life case file, the agent questions the employees of the Gino Maraschino and Jello Company in downtown Brooklyn. So this song has our 2 hardworking Brooklyn gelatin makers, and they're more than happy to give the FBI agent an earful with a song that's part company jingle and part harangue.
All right. Well, let's take a listen now to Gino Maraschino from The Saboteur by Laura Italiano.
Thanks, Scully.
We work at Gino Maraschino and Jello Company at number 7 Flint Street, that's in Brooklyn. She makes Jello. And while we didn't hear or see no foreign enemy coming sabotage or espionage on my Jello, we must inform our big investigation. This neighborhood is an abomination. The children here are dumb because they're living in a slum. There isn't enough Jello in this world to save them from this hell. So now we're asking you from Gino Maraschino and Jello Company, the vegetable more playgrounds, so boys stop throwing rocks. That's all from Gino Maraschino and Jello Company, because we didn't hear or see no
Oh, that musical button at the end. I just want to like jump to my feet. It's so
and the
fun.
little
It's
wave
so
of the
catchy.
whisk and the,
I
and the
know. The acting choices are amazing and the harmonies are so fun. I'm really a fan of that song and I'm a fan of the whole show. I can't wait to see it live next year. And I think people should definitely come by and see how it all turns out based on a true story in Brooklyn, no less.
downtown Brooklyn, and it's 6 months before Pearl Harbor, and everyone in America is on edge thinking Nazi spies are everywhere. So what's been sabotaged actually in the plant is a giant glass lens for an anti-aircraft searchlight. If you picture picture a contact lens with a mirrored finish that's 3 yards across. It's been smashed in its crate just before it was going to be shipped to England. And this really happened at this factory. So the lens was supposed to be fitted into an anti-aircraft searchlight. And in the days before radar, the searchlights were the only way to find and shoot down an enemy plane at night. So it was really, really important, worth $10,000, and is discovered smashed in its crate just before the Brits were going to pick it up. Wow. So there were mistakes, and the show starts off with kind of a xenophobic thing, but by the end of it, everybody, with help of one of the witnesses, is drunk and happy. Actually, it's a nun who's mentioned in file, a Sister Ignatius from the St. Peter's Parochial School, who is maybe it's a little bit of an embellishment, but she starts out hungover and ends up there are just no shots involved.
Well, maybe because you were
the ending.
Maybe because you were a reporter, you seem to have a nose for great stories. What other stories are you working on right now?
I'm picking up from I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I committed for that, and I'm trying to pull more short ideas. One is an sci-fi comedy, because I don't think there are enough sci-fi comedies. I thought it might be funny to have a support group for space aliens who insist that they've had close encounters with humans, but all the other space aliens make fun of them because, of course, humans don't really exist. So that's the premise, but I'm not sure if anything will come of it. We'll see.
Oh, and listen, it sounds like an idea worth working on. Thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing that song with us.
And thanks to Theater Now. You guys are fabulous. Really wonderful.
We will see you live very soon.
Oh, please, let's stop streaming.
I know. Bye, Laura. It's great to see you.
Hi, Colleen.
So we have another team from Soundbites Past to join us now. This presentation will come from the 4th year of the Soundbites Festival, A Most Average Musical, which is a story about college freshmen on their first Friday night of college. 3 of them have extraordinary things to do, and 1 does not. So please welcome lyricist Jonathan Keebler and composer Bob Kelly of A Most Average Musical.
Hi there.
I always feel bad introducing you and saying they wrote A Most Average Musical. It's so hard to make sure those quotations are there around the title of your show.
That's right. We take no offense.
So, Bob, you wrote for a show even earlier in Soundbites history, right?
Yeah, back in 2014, Soundbites 2.0, so along with Cookie Soiree, I had a different piece, Gilgamesh and the Mosquito. We presented an excerpt, me and my partner at the time, Sam Chance, playwright. And I didn't mention this before, but Sarah Smithson, who will be performing the song tonight, she was also a part of that presentation as well. So she's been along this journey for 7 years now. Yeah, she was the titular Mosquito.
Oh, nice. And she, for her performance we're about to see, she won Best Actress, I think, that year, right? Best Performance.
That's right. Yeah, she did. Yeah.
That's really
for
cool.
Most Average Musical.
And then together you guys wrote in Soundbites 4.0. And after that, you joined our Writers Lab. So you are now fully part of the Theater Now family. Did you realize when you wrote a 10-minute musical for us that you were going to be now entering a long-term relationship?
I don't think we did, no.
But we couldn't be happier.
That's really nice to hear. And over the past year, we've moved our Writers Lab online so we can continue to serve the writers. What has that past year been like for the two of you as collaborators and as lab members?
Sure, I can start with that. Yeah, the last year has been interesting. Obviously, it was a huge upset for both of us, but the lab has provided a great anchor. And for me personally, it's been a chance to sort of reset and reconnect with all the pieces that I'm working on and figure out what I'm still passionate about. And I think in the end, it's been good. Sorry, that's a motorcycle. It's been good for a nice artistic reset. Bob?
Yeah, for myself, it's been quite a tumultuous year. I've relocated to Minnesota for the time being, and actually like major career path change. I'm moving into software engineering, so lots of crazy changes, good changes, but just a lot that's different for me. And so the writers group has been kind of a great like through line for me, like something really steady. Every couple of weeks we're meeting, and even though it was such a weird year, I feel very positive about the progress Jonathan and I have made on the stuff we were bringing into the lab. Wrote a lot of great songs we're proud of. So Theater Now New York has been a great thing through the pandemic, for sure.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. So before we see this song, Extraordinary, from A Most Average Musical, can you tell us, sort of set up what the song is doing in the plot, but also more about the show itself? Where did it come from?
Yeah, I can jump in with kind of the origin of this because we didn't mention that. Yeah, so we wrote this, I think it was 2015. And Talia Berger is our collaborator on the story. And she and I had worked together, and she was a graduating film student at the time and was working on her senior thesis. And she knew she wanted to do a musical, a big Broadway lover, as we all are. And so she approached me to possibly collaborate on turning her story idea into a musical. And I was like, that sounds great. I'm going to bring in Jonathan as our lyricist, and he's going to whip it into shape. And so that's what happened. We made the film. It's available on YouTube. If you search A Most Average Musical, I believe it'll be the first result, so you can check that out. And then Soundbites 4.0 came along, and we thought we'd see how it worked on stage. So we applied with the piece as a stage musical.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, can you set us up with this clip? What's happening?
Absolutely.
In the story?
So this is the second song in the show. Our protagonist, Jenny, her 3 roommates have left her all alone in their apartment on their first Friday night of college to go and do their extraordinary things. And in this song, Jenny imagines how each of her roommates' nights will go.
All right. And before we put this song up here, I just want to mention that this is another show that is licensable through MTI if anybody finds their interest piqued by seeing this little snippet. And it's also in the book, which you can find at the link below. And so now let's take a look at Extraordinary from A Most Average Musical by Jonathan Keebler and Bob Kelly, based on a screenplay by Talia Berger.
Just got to her party. She flips her hair and she's seen. Each girl who's there runs up to her, loves her. They look like they've crowned her queen. They eye the boys in the corner. They down a quick vodka lime. They start to dance to the hit song playing. God, it's a perfect time. She's making dozens of friends. Soon they're sisters and her life is sweet and it's extraordinary. Yeah, it's extraordinary. is prepping to study. She's bought a latte, one shot. She's picked a spot at the perfect table. She starts at 8 on the dot. She quickly lays out a game plan, then browses books like the pros. And now we're in it, a great thought hits her. It's something that no one knows. Plan, read, write a little, wow, it's thrilling. She's off and changing the world. Soon her life will be so damn fulfilling. It's extraordinary. Yeah, it's extraordinary. Oh, wasn't that supposed to be me? Wasn't I the one who dreamed in her backyard that she'd get to college and find out exactly who she's supposed to be? And I bet Mel's on her date now, and Chad's a dreamboat, I'm sure. And all the questions she has inside her, that night is the perfect cure. They eat some chow from a food truck. Each look he gives her is bliss. The date goes on and they're walking, talking, till he leans in for one great kiss. Laugh, brag, kiss a little, change specifics. The thing you get is the same. Liz, Gwen, Melanie, their life's terrific. It's extraordinary. And then there's Jenny. Dream, wait, bitch a little, hope life might be a little better real soon. I'm begging, shouting for a time my night can be extraordinary. I want extraordinary. Give me extraordinary.
Love that. And the chat was loving it too. Justin Anthony Long said, loving this tune. Karika Chuzla said, what a voice. And Sign Music NYC said, Sarah has such presence. Absolutely, I agree.
Yes, she does.
Yes,
Fantastic.
she does. So yes, if you guys want to see the rest of the story, you can absolutely go and check out the full-length video, which you can find on YouTube after our stream is over, obviously, by searching A Most Average Musical. You can also hear more about the behind the scenes with Jonathan and Bob. We have a full half-hour conversation, the three of us, on one of our Behind the Lab videos. And if you subscribe to Theater Now, you'll be able to find all of our old Behind the Labs videos and listen to that wonderful conversation. Part of that conversation, we talked about a musical that you're writing together now and that you are presenting during your lab meetings called Closer to Heaven, I think it's called. Further from Heaven?
That's
What's
right.
it called?
Kind of a temporary title, but yeah, that's what we're going with for now. And yeah, this is a show that we really began just before we started with the lab. And this was inspired by, I want to say it was like 2018. There was this big long piece in New York Magazine called The Gay Church. And it was about specifically kind of the phenomenon of gay men in the Catholic Church, in the Catholic priesthood. And it was just something that I was really intrigued by as just an interesting topic. I grew up Catholic. And so I shared that article with Jonathan, and he also was very intrigued by it. Also grew up Catholic. So that was kind of something we shared. And so we decided to kind of just dive into this, kind of create a world, create some characters, see what we could explore. So it's set in a seminary, young seminarian, kind of battling with his sexuality and his faith and how those intersect. And yeah, there's the title song from that show is featured in the Behind the Lab interview video. So if you go check out that video, you'll get to see that, a song from that show as well.
Yeah, and if you want to keep up with the future of that show and any other projects, make sure that you are following those two handles down there on Instagram. This is not Bob Kelly. Actually, it is Bob Kelly. And Elfman J. What's the story behind Elfman J?
So I am, my last name is Keebler. So basically when I was like 17 years old, I decided that I need to create a screen name, and that was my screen name, and that has been the thing that has followed me in many places ever since.
So it's more like Elfman.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I was thinking you were just a huge Danny Elfman fan or Jenna
No,
Elfman fan or
no.
something.
When I created that, I don't think I knew who Danny Elfman was.
I love the story behind it, though. That's a really great story to be telling at parties. Thank you guys so much for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate it. We love all the work that you do with us in the lab. We're so glad that you are part of that with us, and we can't wait to see where all of your future shows go.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, and thank you to Theater Now New York and everything you guys do as well.
Thank you. Great to see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We have one more presentation for you tonight. We're so proud of our ever-expanding community of writers, which now includes all the writers from tonight's musical. And our final presentation is Kalau, a Bilingual Trova. It is our first bilingual Soundbites production, but we are sure and we are hopeful that it won't be our last. The writers of Kalau can't all be with us tonight, although I have seen Pedro on the chat, so we might be able to hear from him a little bit. We weren't sure if we'd be able to have him here, so maybe he's around, but we'll see. But the other ones can't be here with us tonight. So they created this beautiful presentation discussing the intention of their work and the importance of cultural expression, alongside some music and images from their process and their show. So here's lyricist Paloma Sierra, composer Pedro Emanuel Franco Fraticelli, and director Moses Garcia in their own words discussing Kalau, a Bilingual Trova, which is about the ways in which coffee is prepared differently by different people and how that starts a conversation about cultural identity. Here is Kalau, a Bilingual Trova.
Hello everyone, my name is Moses Garcia and I am the director of Kalau, a Bilingual Trova, and today I'm joined with Paloma Sierra, who is the writer of Kalau, and Pedro Emanuel Franco Fraticelli, who is a composer, and over the past couple of months, Pedro, Paloma, and I have all been collaborating to bring you what is this iteration of Kalau, a Bilingual Trova. Paloma and Pedro are here to give you more insight into their creative process, who they are as artists, and their journey during this whole Soundbites process. So to kick off our conversation, Paloma and Pedro, please tell me how and where did the initial thought/idea to write Kalau come from?
So I wrote Kalau after my first year living in the United States and away from Puerto Rico. A born and raised Puerto Rican myself, I never once questioned my Puerto Rican identity, but once I crossed the puddle, I learned about different perspectives about what it means to be Puerto Rican. Through interviews and literature review, I noticed that there are two dominant perspectives about what it means to be Puerto Rican. First, as an identity remaining only within the boundaries of a certain country, in this case being Puerto Rico. And second, as an identity requiring the active practice of the culture of Puerto Rico, either within or beyond its boundaries. These perspectives affect how we as Puerto Ricans see each other, and moreover, by rooting national identity to the land, these perspectives are also a little bit harmful as they alienate both migrants and non-migrants by disapproving one compared to the other. In writing Kalau, I sought to reach both to Puerto Ricans living in the island and those living in diaspora, which means living in other countries. With this in mind, I initially wrote the piece in Spanish, and in a folk poetic form we Puerto Ricans know as trova. As I later developed the piece with a translator, it just made sense to have the piece also incorporate English and have Kalau be a piece bilingually written and also with music.
Sin imaginarlo, vete, fácil, distanciado cuando más te requiere. No le amas suficiente, no le amas demasiado. How can you say you're here to try and reconnect with la patria when you soften your coffee? Tainted with sugar.
But that's how I drink it back home.
Where was the fight for your heritage lost?
No!
Tu hispanidad y folclore. Y es que no solo el café. Has de americanizar nuestro bello español.
Awesome. Pedro, how about you?
Yeah, speaking of trova, the Puerto Rican trova is one of those music styles that came from Europe, and the people in the mountains in Puerto Rico took that music to tell our story and preserve our essence. It is basically musicalized poetry, like other Afro-Caribbean music such as plena, bomba, salsa, even early jazz and reggaeton. It is used as a chant for freedom, justice, communication, and hope. Singer and a guitar or a cuatro, which is a national instrument, are the most common instrumentation, and the verses must be made of 8 syllables. The first verse must rhyme with the fourth, and the second verse with the third.
Thank you so much for that, Pedro. So moving on to our next question, in terms of, the past years obviously been crazy, the whole pandemic, but also we've been working on Golao for the past year or so. So Pedro and Paloma, please tell me, how has your participation in Soundbite 7.0 fostered the development of Golao for you?
Soundbite 7.0 has provided us with the opportunity to focus more on developing the music, making sure that both the music and the words are speaking to each other. In the past, as a playwright, I had the chance to workshop the script on 3 different occasions via readings and festivals. However, I never quite got the chance to hear carefully how the music was working with the words, because we didn't have access to musicians or music directors. We usually play the music as an underscore. That approach didn't give us the bigger picture of what we wanted to achieve. With COVID, we're still yet to see this piece live with live musicians. However, with the 2 online events hosted by Soundbite so far, we have gotten the opportunity to explore what works musically and what needs further improvement.
Great. How about you, Pedro?
Yeah, recording the music for the video was a really individual creative process. I was in charge of recording my music that I composed for Paloma's text and send it to you, Moses, so you could work on the video. 3 years ago, Cola was presented with electronic sounds. So for this time, I'm happy that I finally got the chance to record the piece as I created it in my head in a studio with professional singers and musicians from the Conservatory of Music in Puerto Rico.
La distancia solo aumenta mi amor por mi patria y su ausencia o falta de mis raíces no me aleja, ni me hace menos patriota o de menos corazón.
So, Golao talks about identity, but I'm really interested in how your identity has changed as playwright and musician working on Golao.
Yeah, so personally, ever since I started working on writing Colau, I think through the interviews and just the opportunity to talk to different people and also put this on with different performers, it's been interesting to learn more about how different people approach their national identities, and have, through this experience of hearing those different perspectives, broadening my own understanding of my own Puerto Rican identity, what it means to be Puerto Rican.
Yeah. And for you, Pedro?
Well, 5 years ago, Puerto Rico and the world were a whole different place. So since we faced hurricanes like Maria, earthquakes, massive protests that make a governor resign, and now the pandemic, you could say world is chaos, but I also changed from wanting to change the world to actually changing it with my artistic work. With my music, I try to make Puerto Rican people aware of their identity and their importance in the world. My identity, you could say, is still the same because our circumstances haven't changed. I recognize what I am, but I know what I want to be and what we could be. But thanks to this project, I realize how important it is for the real art to be exposed, where it is not necessarily, the art is not necessarily made to sell, but to talk about us and generate discussions between people.
I'm Boricua. In English, too. You can do not but accept this. This, our beautiful descent. All of us but a charming mix of this, our Hispanic culture. We're the America's gesture. We cannot do without these Anglo-Saxon gestures. We can't leave them aside. These gestures that, like me, gradually infuse themselves in our Latin essence. They spell our heritage. There's for me no need to choose. De escoger ni por qué justificarme. Así que tómate. Dame café for what I can change. And wine so you can accept lo que no.
This has been a great conversation, and I wish we could keep talking for hours longer, because I know I can. But to wrap this up, what do you hope Colau leaves audiences with?
I would like to, after people see the show, for people to question how do they see their own identities and try to start approaching this concept of national identity as an identity that is not rooted to land. While national identity may have its origins in a country, the essence of a national identity lives in its people and may be articulated in many different ways.
Great. And for you, Pedro?
Well, yeah, the same. I would like people to leave with questions and concerns. I want people to find more of the actual status of Puerto Rico and our identity and why we constantly feel trapped in our own island and why some of us don't even understand who we are. We have to leave our island, our home, to be respected and to have a decent life. But why? We deserve equality and justice to be noticed. We deserve to be heard. We deserve to be loved and understood. I want to make it clear that we're not a possession, not half. We are a whole, 100 by 35 that should have the same opportunity and possibilities as the rest of the world. I want people to know that we, Puerto Rico, exist.
Great. What a great note to end on. Thank you so much, Pedro and Paloma, for engaging in this discussion with us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Soundbites.
Yeah, thank you for the space. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Soundbites. We hope you all enjoyed this discussion, and we hope you have a really great day.
I love the conversation that they had. Didn't you, Tom?
I did. This has been a great evening. The whole evening's been wonderful. And I think ending on that piece is just excellent because it really shows how diverse everything that we're trying to do is, and that we're trying to tell more stories that impact more lives. So I think that's a great thing. I also wanted to mention that, we've talked a lot about sound bites tonight because this is sound bites. And we will be back live in May 2022, which is great. However, I wanted to talk a little bit about our kind of path to reopening now that we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. When the pandemic hit, we were in the middle of rehearsal for one of our full-length pieces that we were producing from our lab, and that is the goal. The goal of our writers groups is to eventually get writers out of the writers' room. So we do offer a lot of programming that does that. We had a cabaret program that was running at the time that got closed down because of the pandemic. And we were in rehearsal, the middle of rehearsal. We were about to open in a week with a new musical called The Jury, which was written by John Bauerfeld and Casey Kendall. And that is one show that we have next on our agenda to mount for the first time, I should say. Now that we're beginning to open back up. So we're looking at how we can do that and when we can do that. But this has been a very difficult year, and we hope that you will support us and stay with us. And I wanted to just also, we talked about our book. I wanted to show a picture of the book. You can go on our website and purchase the book. That helps tremendously. Become a member. That helps tremendously. And also join our mailing list so that as our events happen and as we begin opening up and we begin producing again, that you'll come and support us.
Yes. Another great way to help us out is to subscribe to this very YouTube channel that you're watching right now, and to make sure that you're following us on all the different social media things. I want to mention, because the conversation was pre-recorded, we weren't able to mention specifically to follow the creators of Colau, so I wanted to just put that down below as well, to follow Paloma and Pedro and Moses. And Pedro is actually in the chat. I'm so happy to see you. I didn't know if you were going to be able to be here, but I'm so glad that you're here, Pedro. And if anyone has questions for him, please put them in the chat, and I'm sure that he would love to interact with you about his piece. They're such a great team. Before we sign off tonight, we want to thank everybody, those who joined us last week and rejoined us this week, those who joined us this week for the first time. We're so happy to have had you here. We could not do theater without an audience. Theater without an audience isn't theater, right, Tom?
Right, that's right.
That's absolutely true. So we want to thank your audience first and foremost. We also really want to thank all of the writers who shared their work with us tonight, and those who also came in to interview as well. We want to thank Camille Ann White, our board president, for coming in and spending time with us, and for representing our board, who we also want to thank for supporting us through this very interesting year and beyond. We want to thank our support team. We have our stage manager, Maria Elisa, who's amazing. Hi, Maria Elisa. It's great to see you. We had Jason Aguirre, who is running our chat as well. And our other support team, Paulina Tobar, who does a lot of our graphics, and Sebastian Trevino, who did the program, which you can still go see at tny.org/extra-bytes. If you want a refresher on any of the names of the creatives or the actors that you saw tonight. And we also want to thank Eric Shark, who did all of our casting. And we also want to thank our sponsors, which we will show you a list of the sponsors at the end of this stream. Tom, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think that sounds great. And just, stay with us, and we hope to see you in person very, very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. We'll see you very soon. Bye.